Hi everybody, welcome back. It's time to do some yoga once again. Unroll your mat, grab some props, some blocks, a blanket today for sure, maybe a bolster if you need, or a strap, anything like that. We'll get started right away. Please keep in mind to modify your practice as it makes sense. Do what's going to be right for you today. Grab a blanket. Fold it just a little bit, just to give yourself a little bit of cushion on the mat, letting your blanket extend out a little bit off to either side of your mat. We're starting with Tadpole Pose, which is a yin stretch. Coming onto your hands and knees, the blanket under your knees. Step your knees out as far as they'll reasonably go. So if they go off the edges of the mat, this is where the blanket comes in handy. This way you have some protection under the knees. And if you happen to have enough flexibility in the hips where you can flatten completely, go for it. That's absolutely up to you. Okay. Bring your big toes together, checking in with your knees, the alignment to your hip. Your knees should be in a straight line to your hip, so you're neither sinking too far forward nor sinking back to your heels, okay? So your knees in line with your hips, and of course if you need to dial this back into a child's pose instead, feel free to do that. Still a hip stretch, you're still gonna get some of that benefit there. Let your arms extend all the way out. If you need, put a block or a pillow, bolster, anything under your head. And just allow yourself to surrender up to the stretch. Letting yourself get a little more comfortable with being uncomfortable. As yin poses go, this one, like the others, you should be on a scale of 1 to 10 working somewhere at a level 5 or 6 in terms of how this feels in the body, where you can hold it, but you're not going full throttle into it. And you may find that the longer you hold the stretch, the more you sink into the stretch, right? The more space, the more ground you cover. Or you may find the longer you hold the stretch, the more uncomfortable it gets. And we definitely want to avoid an area that starts to get into pain. We don't want to do that. So just keep up with the breath. Keep it moving in and out through the nose as best you can. Let's take another 2 or 3 deep breaths. Let your hands slide back a little bit. Lift your head off the mat. Edge your knees in back toward each other. Edge, edge, edge. Okay. Slide your knees back so you're not on your blanket. I'm going to move my blanket off to the side, but keeping it close in case I want it again. Come onto your hands and knees, lower onto your belly, come into Sphinx Pose, slide your fingertips forward, hug both elbows in, lining up your elbows just about underneath your shoulders. Spread the fingers wide, drop the shoulders back, gazing softly past the end of the nose. The tops of the feet rest on the mat. As the tops of the feet rest down, start to lift the backs of your kneecaps up toward the sky. With your hands where they are, the fingertips, fingers spread wide, without actually moving your hands, energetically draw the hands toward you so you get this subtle opening through the chest. Let your tailbone continue lengthening toward your heels. Soften the space between the eyebrows. Let's take another deep breath or so. Then adding on, slide your left hand in a little bit, bend the right knee, reach your right hand back, hold onto your foot, draw the heel to your hip. Take 2 more deep breaths. Let go of the right foot, go the other way. Slide the right hand in a little, bend the left knee, hand to the foot, heel to the hip. One more time. Let's release it out. Return both hands back down onto the floor. Slide your hands in, return to your hands and knees. Let's go to downward facing dog just briefly. Hips up and back. Shake it off. Walk out your feet as it feels good for you, right? Just decompressing the lower back, stretching out the legs, waking everything up. Start to lower your knees onto the mat. Then sit back, sweep both legs around front. Artemacia Andrasana, seated spinal twist. Will bend the right knee, step your right foot outside the left leg. Sit tall, drop the right arm back, twist over to your right side. 3 deep breaths. Let's return to center, take a little counter stretch, go the opposite way. Come back to center, return the right leg out, bend the left knee, step it outside the right leg, left arm back. Sit tall, twist left, 3 deep breaths. Let's come back to center, grab a little counter stretch to the right. And come back to center, releasing out the left leg. Sit tall, reach the arms high, come forward and grab your feet. Use a strap or belt if you need, soften through the knees if you need. Take 3 deep breaths. On the inhale, start lifting the chest. Exhaling, releasing out your feet. Let's bend at the knees, cross at the ankles, come back to hands and knees, transitioning back to downward facing dog. Let's come forward into plank pose. Lower the knees, lower the chest and chin. Untuck the toes, slide through into Bhujangasana, cobra pose. Return to downward facing dog. Start looking forward through the hands, walk the feet to the front. Folding over the legs with your feet about hip width distance, begin rolling up slowly to stand. Standing tall in Tadasana, palms slightly forward. Inhale, sweep the arms around. Urdhva Hastasana, look up at your thumbs. Exhaling, dive over the legs. With your inhale, lift the chest. Exhaling, step the left leg back. Lower the knee, Ardha Hanuman, half split, straighten the right leg. Let's rebend the front knee, step back to down dog. Inhale, take it forward to plank. Exhale to chaturanga or modify. Inhale, cobra or up dog. Exhale back to down dog. Let's hold for another deep breath. Start looking forward through the hands, soften the knees, step or hop the feet to the front. This time lift the chest on the inhale. Exhale, round it down. Inhale, sweep the arms around, lift up, reach overhead, look up, exhale, dive over the legs. Inhaling, lift the chest. Exhale, the right foot back, lower the right knee, Artemacia, straightening out your left leg, full breath. Inhale. Holding as you exhale. Bending up at the knee, down dog, step back. You can hold in your down dog or flow through. Let's hold for another deep breath. Start to soften the knees, look forward, step or hop the feet. Chest up on the inhale. Exhale, round down. Bring your feet together, toes and heels touch. Bend the knees, Utkatasana, arms high. Sweep the arms back behind you, palms forward, broaden the shoulders out to the side. Start to lift your heels, lifting your knees. Keep the breath moving. Feel the spine lengthen, no back bending here. One more breath. And lower the heels, dive over the legs, head down. Step the left foot back in a low lunge. Put a little bend in the back knee, look forward, finding your drishti to maintain balance. Lift on the inhale to high lunge. Soften the back knee or straighten it out, see how it feels here. Interlace the fingers overhead, press the palms up. Good, inhale, straighten the front leg, reach. Exhaling, bend the right knee. Inhale, lengthen. Exhaling, bend. We'll do one more. Inhale. Exhale. Let's warrior two. Reach the arms out, back heel to the mat. Let's reverse the warrior, sweep the right arm high. Half moon, Artemacia Andrasana. Reach the right hand out, left leg up off the mat. Left arm high. Shift your gaze when you can. Keep the breath smooth. One more breath. Standing split pose, lower the left hand, forehead to the right shin. One breath. Low lunge, right toes back, left toes back. Lower the back knee. Ardha Hanuman, straighten the front leg. Release, big inhale. Holding as you exhale. Low lunge, bend the front knee, down dog, step back. Take it forward into plank. Let's do a little side plank, face the right side of the room. Modify any way that you choose. You can lower the left knee, you can float the right leg up, or a little side tree plank, right? Take one more full breath. Let's bring it back to center. Good, and let's meet in down dog. You can either go straight back or flow through. From your downward facing, soften the knees, look forward. Step or hop the feet. Chest up on the inhale. Exhale, round down. Return the feet together, toes and heels touch. Start to bend up the knees nice and deep. Utkatasana, chair pose. Sweep the arms back behind you, palms forward. The shoulders broaden out. The spine lengthens. Heels lift up. Knees up. Watch the breath. One more time. Start to lower the heels, dive over the legs, head down. Send the right foot back in low lunge. Soften up the back knee, look forward for balance. With the inhale, lift it up. Change the grip as you bring the palms together, interlace fingers, arms high. Good, inhale, straightening out the legs, keep lifting up. Exhale, bend the left knee. Two more, inhale. Exhale. One more. Take it out for warrior two. Reverse the warrior, sweep the left arm up. Good. Half moon, Artemacia Andrasana, left hand in front, right leg up. Take your time. Right arm to the sky. Nice deep breaths. Shift your gaze when you can. One more breath. Standing split, right hand down, forehead to the front shin, breathing in. Deep breathing out. Low lunge, right foot back, lower the right knee, Ardha Hanuman, half split. Straighten the left leg. Deep breathing in. Deep breathing out. Let's bend up at the left knee. Down dog, step back. On the inhale, take it forward to plank. And take side plank, Vashisthasana. Go the other way, face the left side. Stack the left leg on top. Any variations, feel free to go for it. Let's take one more inhale. Exhale, return to center. Meeting in down dog, either go straight back or flow through chaturanga up dog. When you get back to your down dog this time, let's take child's pose. Knees down, toes touch. You can reach arms forward or back on the mat. 3 deep breaths. Good, let's come back to hands and knees. Let's come right into pigeon pose. Bring the right knee behind the wrist, extending the left leg back. Sit tall, of course, making any modifications. If you need to do the reverse figure 4 on your back, go for it. Props under the right side if that helps to keep your hips level. Lengthen the spine, big inhale. Exhale, slide the hands out, forehead down. Nice deep breaths, at least 3 deep breaths here. Start to slowly release out, sliding your hands in, lift the head, the chest up. Start tucking your back toes to lift your back knee. Bring the right knee a little bit more to center. We're setting up Artemacia Andrasana. Bring your left knee up behind the right. Scoot your foot out to the side. Have a seat back. Your right knee crosses over your left. You'll be twisting to your right side. Feel free to dial it back a little bit by straightening your left leg if that feels better on the knees or the hips. Lengthen up, sit tall, twist to your right. Let's take 2 or 3 deep breaths. Come back to center, grab a little counter stretch to your left for a full breath. As you untwist to center, unwrap your legs, coming into Badakanasana, bringing the soles of the feet together. Let your knees drop out, hands to the feet, sit tall. You're welcome to either keep it right here if that's quite enough, or if there's room to move forward, start to lean in. Try to keep the elbows in case your knees are lifting. You can use your arms to help brace the knees down a little bit without forcing it, of course, right? Soften the shoulders. Let's take another deep breath or so. And start to slowly return all the way upright if you're not already. Folding your knees in, start to cross at your ankles. Come on to hands and knees. We'll go right into our second side for pigeon. Slide the left knee through behind the left wrist. Your right leg slides back, hips level, modifying on the back, of course, if you need, using props if you need under the left side. Lengthening up, take an inhale. When your alignment is good, hips are level, start to exhale, walk the hands out, forehead down. Let's give ourselves at least 3 deep breaths here. Start to release out nice and easy. Slide the hands in, lifting the head, the chest up. Tuck your back toes to lift your right knee, sliding your left knee more to the center, transitioning into Artemacia Andrasana, your seated spinal twist. Scooch your feet out to the sides, sit back. Now it's your left leg crossing over on top. Feel free to dial it back by straightening the right leg if that is going to suit you better today. Lengthen up, drop the left arm behind you, twist to your left. Let's take a couple of deep breaths. One more breath. Let's start coming back to center. Grab a counter stretch to the right for a full breath. Return to center, again unwrapping your legs, bringing the soles of the feet together. Badakanasana, hands to feet, sit tall. Either remain, nice deep breaths, or lean in. Let the breath move. One more time. Start to come all the way back up, folding both knees back together, crossing at your ankles. Come on to hands and knees. Slide the knees back a little bit. Bring the chest forward, lower all the way onto the belly, setting up Asana Bow Pose. Bend the knees, grabbing your feet close to your ankles. Bring the knees a little bit closer in. Press down through the body. With an inhale, lift everything up off the mat. Kicking into your hands, opening the heart forward, softening the space between the eyebrows. Keep kicking, keep lifting up away from the mat. Let the breath move. All right, just one long back bend, so let's make it count. 2 more breaths. Release it out, let go of your feet, go right back into child's pose, separating the knees a little, toes together. Let's give ourselves at least 3 deep breaths here. Returning onto your hands and knees. Let's take a seat on the mat. We'll be setting up Upavishta Kanasana today. So I'm gonna grab a block to use to demo this for you. Feel free if you wanna grab a blanket just to give yourself a little bit of cushion under the sit bones to help lift the hips a little. A block or a bolster would be too much under the hips, but if you want to give yourself a little blanket, feel free to do that. Slide your legs out to the sides, to the left and to the right. Wide leg straddle stretch, okay? So there are many different ways to do this. If you have a lot of flexibility, you can separate the feet as wide as is reasonable for you. Maybe grabbing onto your big toes, bring your torso down so that your forehead lowers, or maybe even your chin lowers all the way down onto the mat or on the floor. Lots of other ways to do it. You can even bring your back up against the wall if that feels better on the hips and the back. As I mentioned, grabbing a block here, I like to use a block because I'll still get a nice stretch while letting my head rest down. The key, wherever you are, keep your toes pointing up toward the sky. It's okay to let the toes roll out a little. We want the external rotation, but avoid letting your toes roll in, right? That closes everything off. So if you need to separate your feet a little bit less to do that, go for it, okay? So I'm going to use a block here, lowering my forehead down, and maybe you need two blocks, maybe a block and a bolster. Again, lots of different ways to do this. So my forehead lightly resting on the mat, then hands on opposite sides of the block. So I'm still getting a nice, mighty stretch here through the legs, stretching the adductors, your inner thigh muscles. All right, while opening up through the hips. Let's hold here for another 3 to 5 deep breaths. And start to release out. Slide the hands in, lift the head, the chest up. As you lift away from your mat, let's shuffle the feet together. Shuffle, 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 shuffle. Shuffle them out on the mat. That should feel good. Nice release. Bending up at your knees. Separate your feet. Drop your knees off to one side. Doesn't matter which side what you're gonna do. We're gonna do both sides, okay? So drop your knees to one side. Sit tall. Look over the opposite shoulder. So your knees one way, your gaze the other. Hold for a deep breath in. Deep breath out. Let's come back to center. Drop your knees the other direction. Sit tall and look the other way. And come back to center, moving a little faster. Drop your knees to the side. Look. Come back, drop your knees the other way, look the other direction. One more time, center, drop your knees. Center, drop your knees. Coming back to center. Let's release out. Let's start lowering onto the back, rolling back, hugging your knees in towards your chest. Good. Rock a little side to side if that feels good. And while we're here, before we really wrap up in Shavasana, let's do a little inversion. If you have headstand in your practice, feel free to do that. You can do dolphin pose as a modification. And if you don't want to do shoulder stand, you can always put your legs up the wall as a fine option as well. Let's slowly start to lift up. Grab your hands to the lower back, feet up toward the sky. Only looking up at your feet. Avoid turning your head. And if you want to separate the feet a little, you can. If you want to do a little eagle leg upside down, feel free to do that, right? Right, separate the feet. A little plow pose, halasana, that's fine too. Let's give it another deep breath or so. And start to slowly lower down. If you're in headstand, you uncurl into child's pose. If you're in shoulder stand, do fish or cobra on the belly. If you have legs up the wall, you can stay right where you are if that feels good. You can make that your restorative Savasana, right? Or take fish pose. Let's take a few more deep breaths. Let's start to release out, returning onto your back. Bring the knees in, taking any final little stretch or twist if you choose. And if you're otherwise ready, start to come into your Shavasana, extending out the legs on the mat. Feel free to use your blanket rolled up under your knees to release the low back as you lay back in Shavasana. Maybe grab a sweater or cover yourself with a blanket. That's an option too. Let yourself settle into space. Close your eyes, uncreasing the brow, unclenching the jaw. Just letting go, letting this time be for your body to restore itself, so when you're done, you feel better returning to your day.